Good evening and welcome to your primetime news bulletin here on the Joy News channel. Tonight, respondents in landmark election petition hearing interrogate evidence backing claims the 2012 presidential election was fraught with irregularities that could impact the result. Meanwhile, the respondents are claiming vindication from today's proceedings as Supreme Court adjourns until Monday. Striking government pharmacists buoyed by Labour Commission ruling in their favour refuse to end strike until the Fair Wages Commission accedes to their demands. Parliament's Appointments Committee concludes vetting of Deputy Minister designates. All these plus business, sports and showbiz coming up.
News at 8 with Israel Live.
In our very first story, counsel for the first respondent in the election petition before the Supreme Court today began cross-examination of the petitioner's star witness, Dr. Mamadou Bawumia. The cross-examination, which lasted nearly 4 hours, was dominated by a mantra from the counsel that sought to expose what he believed is a fundamental flaw in the evidence adduced by Dr. Bawumia. Proceedings have meanwhile been adjourned to Monday, April 22, 2013.
Can you confirm?
In a cross-examination that lasted well over 4 hours, lead counsel for first respondent Thorny Letha produced copies of pink sheets presented by the petitioners, which he said had different exhibit numbers but from the same polling stations. Thorny Letha repeatedly and laboriously identified the various polling stations with double exhibit numbers to affirm his point that it was a deliberate attempt by the witness to deceive the court.
From these documents, can you confirm whether you have repeated polling stations? From this document,
there are two pink sheets. It's the same pink sheets with different exhibit numbers. Absolutely. From what I understand.
Absolutely.
And that is the case. There are two pink sheets with different exhibit numbers. But I am very sure that it is not going to be the case that we would have used the two pink sheets in this analysis that we've done. They are very separated.
The lead counsel for the first respondent persisted a long while, despite an attempt by one of the judges to restrain him. Dr. Bawumia, meanwhile, maintained throughout the routine that even though the exhibit numbers were different for the same polling station, as pointed out by the lead counsel for the first respondent, figures from each polling station were only entered once in his analysis.
Have you noticed, Dr. Bawumia, that almost invariably the sheets have different colors? You have?
I have noticed.
Yeah, okay.
My lords, one of these sheets has an exhibit number that was generated electronically. And the other sheet has an exhibit number which was manual. I think at some point we had moved away from the manual to the electronic to avoid error. So I think some of these sheets which were done manually were actually delivered along with the same sheets which were done electronically. But on the CD-ROMs you would see the electronic numbering, and it is those ones that are. It's just one, so they may be duplicate, but it's just one that enters the analysis.
The court adjourned proceedings until Monday.
Right, before we proceed to the rest of our stories, I'll bring you some highlights of the CDD's lecture, Kronti Ni Akwamu Democracy and Governance Lecture, to commemorate the 20th anniversary since Ghana began the Fourth Republic, and some of the highlights that came up in the delivery by the Justice VCRAC Crab. It said, presently governance decisions do not benefit the masses but politicians. He said the winner-takes-all syndrome in Ghana's politics is stalling governance growth. Democracy is not partisan. All competent people should be included. Accountability and transparency are key to democratic governance. Office holders are not more than the electorate. He also emphasized the need for the media to play its watchdog role to achieve the desired democracy and governance, and also bemoaned the fact that self-discipline has eluded the citizenry and therefore called for a general attitudinal change. So the lecture was just going on just about when we truncated it to start the bulletin. Now to the rest of our stories. The commission investigating the payment of judgment debts has invited 4 individuals and institutions to appear before it. The 4, Benjamin Niteku Hammond of Benlio Art Creations, Alhaji Mohammed Kweku Doku, former Municipal Chief Executive of Asunafo North District Assembly, Samuel Woolhouse, Alote Ado, and Rockshell International Limited, are expected to appear before the commission at the Old Parliament House on Wednesday, April 24. A statement from the commission says the 4 are to assist in its work. It, however, gives them the option to appear with their lawyers. In other news, university lecturers have returned to the lecture halls after calling off their 2-week-old strike. They have since resumed lectures in earnest to make up for the time lost. The lecturers suspended their strike on Tuesday after a lengthy meeting on Monday between the UTAC leadership and representatives of the Ministries of Education, Finance and Employment and Social Welfare, among others.
A visit by Joy News to some tertiary institutions revealed the lecturers were at post-teaching. At the Ghana Institute of Journalism, for instance, some lecturers were taking their students through the day's lessons. The students confirmed their lecturers had been at post since Tuesday. President of the Students' Representative Council, Raymond Yeldon Donbayo, told Joy News the students are relieved the strike has ended.
It's a positive development. We have sighed a relief following the return of lecturers to the lecture theatre because their departure adversely affected studies and the progress of academic work around the various campuses. So it's a relief for us. Yeah. In our case, they have had to revise our timetable because we were scheduled to start exams on the 22nd of this month. Because of the strike, they have postponed exams, and we don't get to start exams until later this month, around the 29th. So some variations have taken place, and I think that our students, those introductions were taken with our well-being in mind, and we are quite pleased.
Joy News also caught up with SRC President of the University of Ghana, Edmund Combat, who himself had just come out of a lecture.
We are vigorously preparing towards the end of the semester. The lecturers are catching up. Some of them are rescheduling some of their lectures, extending the hours that they used to teach so that they can be able to capture everything and all that. We are only praying that government make sure that they honor the promise so that we don't have this kind of thing repeating in the future. If it happens next semester again, it's going to distort the academic calendar, put a lot of stress on students and all that. And we're very happy that this has happened very shortly, because per the regulations, if it has reached 21 days, they could have taken a decision to cancel the whole semester, and that would have thwarted a lot of our plans as students and they themselves as lecturers.
The presidents of both student groups also appealed to government to find lasting solutions to the concerns of UTAC to avert future strikes, since students bear the brunt when lecturers lay down their tools.
Elsewhere, the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association says it would continue its strike until the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission implements the ruling of the National Labour Commission, giving backing to their demands for embarking on the action. The NLC yesterday threw out an application for a stay of execution filed by Fair Wages, seeking to stop the pharmacists' strike.
The application by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission sought to stay the execution of the NLC's ruling that a grading structure provided by the Ghana Health Service be used as the basis for determination of the pharmacist salaries. But the favourable ruling only seemed to have buoyed Gospel's resolve, insisting it would not call off the strike until the issues of interim market premium, conversion refund and the reduction of their pensions are dealt with.
Our members have made it clear, when they went on the strike, that after going through this process for 1.5 years, painstaking process, this time around they want a clear and definite solution to these two issues, and they think that immediately that issue is resolved, it will be a factor for them to come back to work.
Gospel has been on strike since April 8th to demand the resolution of their grievances. Meanwhile, the Ghana Medical Association also says if their members' conversion difference and reduced pensions are not resolved, they will be forced to step up their action by withdrawing emergency care.
If you have 3 issues, only one seems to have been resolved, and there are 2 more issues outstanding, there is always a probability that you may have to come back and go on strike again. So we don't want to go through that cycle. Indeed, we want to end these issues. What we want to see happening is that let's get all these issues resolved so that we don't go back onto that route. But it's a grace period that we gave. The grace period was for a week, and so we are in that week now. And so if by next week we still don't get resolution to those 2 issues, that is a conversion difference and the pensions, per the roadmap, we would be withdrawing our emergency services come next week.
The Appointments Committee of Parliament today concluded vetting of deputy ministers designate after considering some 35 of them. The committee is expected to present its findings to the Speaker of Parliament for adoption by the entire House.
The first nominee to take the seat was the Deputy Minister Designate for the Northern Region, Ahaji Fuseini, who says he will use his experience in the Afghan war to advise the factions in the north to unite rather than to go to war.
To work across board to ensure that we put Dagbon first. And anybody who wants to put Dagbon first cannot have a divided Dagbon, because a divided Dagbon cannot stand. We need the totality of all Dagbombes to move ahead.
Deputy Minister Designate for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection and former Miss Ghana, Benita Okiti-Dua, says she will use her experience to ensure the welfare of children is strictly adhered to. Dr. Hannah Louisa Bisiu, who is heading to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, promised to be loyal to her substantive minister, contrary to the speculation in the media about her disrespect to her superiors in the ministry. The Deputy Minister Designate for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Aquinas Kwanzaa, told the committee he will partner the substantive minister to ensure fish farmers are insured. He also promised to assist the minister to ensure those who flout the laws governing fisheries are punished.
Illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. We have to be sure that we really look out for those practicing in that and bring them to book. At least it will bring a little sanity into our water bodies.
The last to be vetted is the MP for Gumua Central and the second Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. According to her, microfinancing is the solution to young girls from the north migrating to the south in search for greener pastures.
We have to introduce this livelihood programs, livelihood support programs, to enable them also get the support to be able to establish themselves like this, let them. And also the microfinance, Maslow also can come in and then try to establish these people so that they can live in their communities and help develop the communities.
The committee is expected to present minutes from the vetting proceedings to the House for further probing by Parliament at a date to be set by the Speaker of the House before approval.
We'll take a break now, but we have more news coming up. Don't go away. One person is reported dead, with 4 others sustaining serious injuries when fire gutted a container at the Bushi Market Thursday morning. The fire is believed to have resulted from an alcohol explosion.
The fire was said to have started at about 9 a.m. in a container used to store locally distilled gin known as akpeteshi. It took the intervention of some residents in the area and the fire service to put out the fire. Bags of sachet water, a deep freezer and a sewing machine were later uncovered. Ejari Botre is the owner of the container. He told the news team how the fire started.
I think boom. He said, dining. I made a fast more hunting. It's me, I could point to me, Mammy Pierre. He said, and there's some again, Anna or yet Manacasana, on the Wakam. He Janet, they mean to me, and the Aquama Dana a buy. It's an Metian Pum, been to mention the Aquama Dana buy.
This man had a different account of what happened.
And they see and say, Anopano. Now, he had no muscle, Cropoto, any more. Inti na ba no so se sansa no ko inside o Nti mra o sansa no kakra hwie gu baby eja no wono. Nti eja no trezi no di na echi ko baby o hwie nsa ne gu no. Ti o hwie nsa ne gu drum no mo no na eye bom. Ti ono pie no na obeto fom. Ti ma me na oba no beto de so. Na man ono di ka to ho na man wu. Be ma ba ku prai. On the ono wetimi so le koy. And oba ba ku nsu prai. Ano so be na koy na madam na nkasa ba ko ka.
The injured persons have since been sent to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for treatment, whilst the body of the deceased has been deposited at the police hospital morgue.
The University of Ghana Faculty of Arts says it is shifting away from the era when its research was mainly confined to abstract issues to producing works that readily make life better for all. Members of the faculty have been interrogating some of these new research works at the annual colloquium, including one linking the new dance craze Azonto to healing.
Humanities have long been associated with subjects such as dondology and others which many say have very little relevance to development. This, the faculty says, it aims to change. Senior members at this year's colloquium say researchers are being encouraged to venture into areas that impact the daily lives of people. Themed from theory to practice, insights from the humanities, faculty members presented researchers and academic papers examining language usage, music and dance, and how it could have positive impact in the lives of people.
We've just finished a panel that examined Azonto dance. We've had panels that look at how dance affects, healing, for instance. We've had panels that have examined, bilingualism within the country and elsewhere. When people think about the humanities, they think, we are people who just think in abstraction. What we do is not practical to day-to-day life. So this colloquium is supposed to, have senior members talk about the theories that inform what they do and see how they have practical bearing on day-to-day activities.
The Faculty of Arts says the forum is equally relevant in building the careers of faculty members.
We hope that faculty members would have benefited from the inputs that their colleagues have given in terms of feedback to their presentations, suggestions as to other areas they may consider. And a key aspect of this colloquia series that we have is to have publications, as I mentioned. So definitely the Dean will send out a call for interested participants to send their papers. And these will be taken for review, they will be taken for peer review, selections will be made, and then publications will come out.
According to organizers, this year's colloquium has been successful with an appreciable number of students participating and impressive representation from lecturers.
The 2013 edition of the Agri-Fraser Gagisberg Memorial Lectures of the University of Ghana has opened under the theme Beyond Recovery. This year's edition, which happens to be the 40th in the series of lectures, is being delivered by the Chair of African Development at the London School of Economics and Political Science, Professor Thandika Mkwandirewe. Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ernest Aite, says this year's lecture will focus on what Africa needs to do next apart from pursuing economic recovery.
The three-day lecture by Professor Thandike Mkwandirewe will address topics like recovery to development, bringing social equality back in, and the university and catching up. According to the former director of the United Nations Research Institute for Social Development, the economy of African countries have grown faster than anticipated, putting them in a position to match up to the economies of the West.
Historically, Africa has been linked to Europe. And Europe has been rather slow growing economy, especially for the type of economies that we have. Our links with Europe after colonialism was mostly through such agreements as Lome Convention, which tied us up to the colonial model of export. And so we were, in a way, condemned to trade with fairly slow-growing economies, and that accounted for our very slow growth. Today, Africa is shifting towards and has been linked to much more dynamic economies. In Africa, the growth in prices is 4 times higher than that of volumes, which means we haven't done very much in terms of expansion of output.
Professor Tandika, however, pointed that in spite of this growth, Africa is still lagging in other aspects and must catch up.
And I think it's very important to bear that in mind. We are doing badly. On virtually every social indicator, we are doing badly. Health, education, and so forth. We have no reason for complacency. We are not Africa rising yet. We are not, definitely not rolling lions. We're not. And not tigers, because tigers die in Africa. But we have problems. So we have to be aware of that. And I'm glad that there is a growing awareness among young people that something has gone wrong. And that usually development is intention. You know, you have to want to do that. And I think the sense, the feeling I have among the younger generation of a sense of we are behind. And that we should do something. Africa has to catch up.
The 40th Agri-Fraser Gagensberg Memorial Lecture will be climaxed with a special congregation at which honorary degrees will be conferred on some personalities.
The provision of quality basic education in the Brahafo region is still hampered by non-availability of classrooms for teaching and learning. Schools under trees remain a regular feature in the region in spite of efforts by government to eliminate them. Our Brahafo region correspondent Nestor Kafuya-Joma visited the Techiman Methodist JHS, whose students have now resorted to studying under trees because of their dilapidated structure.
Techiman Methodist Junior High School has seen no rehabilitation work since its establishment in 1946. This is in spite of its growing student population. Having churned out hundreds of graduates over the years, the school structure is now showing signs of aging. The building has developed cracks, an indication that it could cave in any time. Some of the doors and windows are also detached from the building, whilst the aluminium roofing sheets are dotted with holes. Obviously, teaching and learning in these classrooms are put on hold any time it rains or when the weather gets extremely hot. That aside, the teachers hang around the school premises, either on the corridors or under trees, since they have no staff common room. When our news team visited the school, the students were writing their end-of-term examination under trees, which also double as their classrooms. Some of the students who spoke to our news team called on former students to help renovate as well as build more classrooms for effective academic work.
We have broken doors and windows, and this has given the town boys an opportunity to come here by night to do whatever that they want.
The government to provide us enough classrooms, and even if you can get us computer laboratory, we don't have it.
Another serious challenge confronting the Techiman Methodist Junior High School is the invasion by town folks who sometimes wander in classrooms during class hours. David Barson is the assistant headmaster of the school.
We've made several follow-ups. After we have written letters to the municipal directorate of education and then the municipal assembly to come to our aid, we made follow-ups, and then we are always assured that because of the priorities measures taken, our school is still under consideration. So we are appealing to the NGOs, benevolent societies, and also reminding the municipal directorate and the municipal assembly to still come to our aid.
Ghana has been identified as one of the major transit points for migrants seeking greener pastures in other countries. The Ghana Immigration Service has therefore announced strategies to curb the trend.
In 2012, a total of 315 Ghanaians were deported from abroad for entering into countries illegally. These people acquired documents through the help of middlemen who usually use wrong information. Others also try entering these countries through illegal route, and 90% of these people are reported to lose their lives as a result of the inhuman conditions they have to endure. To help easily detect fraudulent traveling documents or any other documents with security features, the Ghana Immigration Service established the Document Fraud Expertise Center 2 years ago, and the center has been able to detect several fake passports with the help of their state-of-the-art facilities.
We have the collaboration with
these international partners. So all offices from the embassies and high commissions, when they are not sure of doing these applications, they refer them to the Center for Analysis for us to make pronouncement on them.
Ghana also has an anti-migrant smuggling legislation to help rid the nation of migrant smugglers.
If you engage in migrant smuggling, you have what? Committed a what? An offense. And because for an offense, an act to be an offense, it needs a sanction. It is provided that a fine of not less than 625 penalty units, or not more than 1,250 penalty, or the term of imprisonment, or both.
At a seminar to educate the media on the dangers of migrant smuggling, its director, COP Dr. Peter Redu, called on the media to help raise awareness on the dangers associated to the activity in order to curb it. Hopeful travellers have also been advised to be careful of who they approach for help to secure travel documents.
We have business news coming up next.
Joy News Business is brought to you in association.
The Ghana Revenue Authority has allayed fears the country might be losing revenue because of a flow meter on the FPSO vessel on the Jubilee field was uninstalled from last weekend. Tallow Oil is said to have uninstalled one of the two monitoring devices on the floating vessel last Saturday for maintenance works. The meter accumulates data on how much oil is exported from the Jubilee field by operators to help government calculate how much tax they should pay. But the GRA says a spare flow meter replaced the flow meter which was uninstalled. Deputy Commissioner in charge of Communications and Public Affairs at the GRA, Francis Ando, tells Joy Business there is no cause for alarm. Now, can you imagine sleeping safely in your house without worrying about mosquitoes, cockroaches and other insects invading your homes, just painting your house with just a paint? This would have been unthinkable a few years back, but the advancement in technology has made it possible.
Atling Vinimat Ultra Paint acts by a simple contact with the insect, and depending on the size of the insect, it takes between half an hour and 4 hours for the insect to die. The product, which is in a form of paint, contains microscopic insecticide crystals which are firmly bonded into the paint and are only released, according to the producers, when the insect comes into contact with the paint. The insecticide crystal penetrates into the insect's leg and is then transmitted to the nervous system of the insect, paralyzing and killing it.
On the top acrylic premium paints, you apply it on the surface. If you want, you can use the other paints that you are used to, no problem. But the last coat, you have to apply this product, Artelin Vinamat Ultra. And the last coat, you have the pyrethroids there, just waiting for the mosquitoes to land on it. When the mosquito land on it, all right, the microcrystals of pyrethroids will climb up the legs of the mosquito until it reaches the nervous system.
Unlike other insecticides, Vinimat Ultra Paint does not release any smell. The paint is harmless to humans. Rather, it eliminates dust mites, thereby reducing the incidence of asthma attacks. Their product has undergone various tests in France and has been accepted.
So they have tested there in the French laboratories, and have been approved by all the government directives against for toxicity, for environment. So the product is safe and secure by the laboratories in France.
Vinimat Ultra is expected to help reduce malaria infections in the country.
Government is set to protest the exclusion of former NPP presidential hopeful Alan Kyerematen from candidates shortlisted for the office of Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO. The former trade minister last week failed to sail through the first round of the selection for the top job at the WTO. The Trade Minister Haruna Idrisu, who says government supported Mr. Kyerematen's bid, tells Joy Business Ghana has some issues with the selection process. Meanwhile, Joy Business has learned the Kenyan government has formally filed a protest against the exclusion of their candidates from the shortlist of applicants for the WTO top job. In a related development, Brazil has already started lobbying government officials for Ghana to throw its weight behind their candidate, Roberto Azevedo, who made it to the second round of the process. In other business news, shares of Nokia have fallen 13% after higher sales of its Lumia smartphones failed to offset a decline in its mobile phone unit in the first quarter. And lawyer for IMF chief Christine Lagarde says she has been summoned by a French court to answer questions over alleged abuse of office during her time as France's finance minister. Up next, we bring you some smart investment tips.
Business was brought to you in association with
First Atlantic Bank, the compelling place to bank.
Maximum, your world of maximum possibilities.
All right, good evening and time for the very latest in the world of sports. My name is George Adejuna. Let's do some boxing. And Ghana's Emmanuel Gameboy Tego has held his media workout session ahead of the much-awaited WBA International WBO Africa Super Featherweight Championship over 12 rounds against Filipino Robert Pontes at the Seconds Gym in Accra. Joy Sports cameras were present.
Actually, it's a stepping stone towards the world title. So I think this is one of the preparation we're doing. And I think everything is going on well here. We pray that the same thing will happen. And I think this is the second bout we're doing. And I think through the good office of God, everything will be successful. Yeah. I think it's the best among all, so for sure, yeah.
Full prepared for this fight. I don't think we have problem for anything. We are okay. We are going to win this title, hands down. I don't think we have any problem. It's okay. What this opponent, it can't give us any problem.
Right, so this bout will take place on the 26th of April at the Accra Sports Stadium. And still on boxing, the World Boxing Organization bantamweight champion Joseph King Kong Agbeko has presented his title to the head office of ILD Communications. The bantamweight king was presented the title in appreciation of financial and other resource support given him in the build-up to the world title bout at Accra Sports Stadium months ago.
Well, first and foremost, I must congratulate Joseph Agbeko for making the nation very proud. We are delighted that he went into battle and he has done us proud. He's won the title, which is what he promised us. And so all we can say is that we are excited about his exploits, and we wish him best of luck in terms of his plans to advance into other areas of the sports.
They are like family to me, and I really appreciate their support. You know, if we getting support like this, I think Ghana boxing will, go far. If we getting big support from other companies like RG is doing to us, I believe Ghana will produce a lot of world champions.
Right, so that'll be all for sports tonight. My name is George Adi Jr. Israelite will join us with Showbiz in a bit. You have a good night.
Sports was brought to you in association with
Ghanaian musicians will soon have the choice to train or improve their stagecrafts and branding thanks to a move by the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musica. The union is partnering the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI, to establish what will be known as the Musica Academy to offer a degree program in music and sound recording for musicians. It is expected to start this year.
The Musica Academy, according to its president, Bais Oseikofo, is part of the union's vision to strategically position its members to grow the industry to meet international standards.
And we as people in charge of the music industry, we must go through this kind of leadership training, this kind of management training, so that it would add up to our skills to be able to deliver better for the industry. And we are praying that we can establish a training institution that can feed the industry with the required needs. For instance, we don't have any institution that trains people to become artist managers, that trains people to become artist publicists, that trains people to become artist repertoire A&R managers, and so on and so forth. These people are needed for the development of the music industry. Even training people to become artists themselves, showmanship, stage performance. You know, how do you manage yourself as an artist? We don't have that institution. So together with NAFTI, the Musicians Union of Ghana is partnering with them to establish what we would call the Musica Academy.
Obwo adds that Musica and NAFTI have already signed an MOU for the partnership, adding the academy will be a department at the Film Training Institute from this year. Commenting on recent spate of controversies which have engulfed the union, especially speculations that there have been numerous resignations, this was what the Musica president had to say.
No executive from Musica has resigned. It's only until one executive who is the Central Regional Chairman who went against the code and ethics of the Musicians Union of Ghana and against the constitution of the Musicians Union of Ghana, and had to meet with the arbitration committee. So after the meeting with the arbitration committee, in order to prevent sanctions, the person decided to resign. That's the only issue. But apart from that, nobody has resigned.
Stay tuned to our subsequent bulletins as we bring you more info on this particular issue.
Sensational actress Yvonne Nelson has been making waves in the news and on social media lately for varied reasons. One of the reasons is a new look, hair and weight loss.
When she returned from her Hollywood experience.
Now that'll be all for Showbiz. Right, so time now for some of the comments you have sent in onto our Facebook. And the question we're asking you this evening, what are your impressions of today's proceedings of the election petition hearing? And Nana Jaman Prempe, he simply says, in SMP. And then Sami Montana says, joke petition. Luis Nanofurikwa says, this case is full of arithmetic errors and deliberate duplication of the exhibits delivered to the court. Abdullah Yusuf, let me ask this question. Is Baumia a lawyer? If he's not, then he might be an angel. He must be an angel, I'm sure. That's what he wanted to say. He was too much. Isaac Kingsley, Jesus Tony Letha was fantastic. I pray MPP leaders to advise their supporters to restrain themselves from jubilation after each sitting. Samuel Bedra says, ha ha ha, funny petition. Christian Alan Agri says, very serious, but Dr. Baumia was consistent in his evidence. I pray Ghana win at the end of the day and peace prevail. Commodore Seyos Cadrell says, okay. Kukudron Press says, Tony Letha picked on the wrong guy and the wrong subjects. Eben Vito says, indeed, the battle is the Lord's. One thing is clear, it's only the court that will determine the outcome of this landmark case, but not people's opinions, certainly. Bonti Benjamin says it was the best, and Dr. Baumia has shown to the whole world that propaganda has no place in court, hence Tony Lither's delay tactics. But so far, as the battle is the Lord's, total justice will be served for the masses. We have some more comments. Jabab Kitindo Moses says, Baumia, I think, was confused about his own pink sheets he brought. A word to a wise, he ends there. Seglani Akosia says, I'm definitely going to get a mentor from the Supreme Court. And then Honorable Herbert Han says, Dr. Baumia seemed confused. This is just the starting, but the judges have conducted themselves fairly well, and I'm impressed. Musa Ali Traore says, Dr. Baumia is only being used as a sacrificial lamb. He will soon realize this. The case will simply be struck out. And then Techi Jabbar says, confused. You said, please, we all saw what transpired in the court, MPP all the way. And then my very last comment, Prosper Silencer Chichugbi says, today's court proceedings clearly shows that the MPPs do not have any case at all. This is just a journey to nowhere. Of course, the ruling will be done by the justices at the end of the day. That's it for the bulletin. Before we go, though, a quick run through our top stories. Respondents in landmark election petition hearing interrogate evidence backing claims the 2012 presidential election was fraught with irregularities that could impact the results. Striking government pharmacists bored by the Labour Commission ruling in their favour. I refuse to end their strike until the Fair Wages Commission accedes to their demands. Parliament's Appointments Committee concludes vetting of Deputy Minister designates. And Pakistani court. Now for more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Israel Lai. Have a good evening.